All right, welcome everybody. So, going live again to talk to you about the spell of the 9 knots. Yesterday we talked about spell of the 9 knots. We talked about how it works with the, if you want to call it the, sorry, I'm doing multiple things here. How it works with the 8 directions of the medicine wheel, what I call the thunder wheel. How it works with the rune wheel. And we are also talking about the northeast direction. So, as you can see here in front of you, I'm doing this the way I want to do it. Okay. So, as you can see there in front of you, you've got this 8-wheeled or 8-spoked wheel, which I call the thunder wheel. You can call it a medicine wheel, you can call it the Vedics call it a direction wheel, dig chakra. The Taoists call it the 8 gates, which I find really interesting because each one of those directions is a gate into a dimension. My ancestors called it the world tree. They also called it by Odin's horse, whose name is Slipper. Sleipnir means he who slips, slipper. Slipping between the worlds. The worlds are the 9 worlds. There's a reason why Odin's horse has 8 legs. So as you can see here, this thunder wheel, this medicine wheel, has 8 spokes. It means that Odin, who sits right in the middle there, in the 9th world, which is this one, he sits right there, and when he's mounted all of the 9 worlds, he sits in the center, and his horse has 8 legs, which means that he's sitting on the vehicle that taps him into all of the 9 worlds at any given time. That's why Sleipnir has 8 legs. This is just another rendition of the horse, that takes you to the 9 worlds. So when Odin is in his shamanic state, where he is connected to all the 9 worlds, he's sitting on his horse in in Midgard, and he's connected to all the other 8 worlds. I suppose it wouldn't matter which world he was in. Whatever world he's in, he's still connected to all the other 8 worlds. So I imagine you can put any one of those worlds in the center for him. For us, the 9 dimensions operate this way because we live in what's called the middle yard, the middle earth. And from the middle, which would be the center there, all of the other 8 directions feed into where we are. So today we're going to be talking about the spell of the 9 knots, and specifically, I'll go through the whole spell again, but specifically we're going to be talking about the connection to the northeast direction, which is in this right here. What would be north is right up at the top, and then the northeast, which would be to the first spoke to the right of that. We're going to be talking about that direction. We're going to be talking about the rune URUZ, because that's where URUZ is placed. So that right there is the thunder wheel, but we can use the thunder wheel in all different kinds of ways. And in one of them, we use what I call the rune wheel. And I don't know anybody else who's come up with this. I think there are other people who have come up with the same use of using the runes and the 8 directions. Where is the rune wheel? Rune wheel, where are you? So many things here. Rune wheel, come on, let's find the rune wheel. I gotta pay attention. I'm a man, I can't do 2 things at once. There it is. Oops. There's the rune wheel. All right, so you see in the north there, we talked about Fehu, because we're going to be working with the first 8. So to be clear, in case you haven't, if you didn't watch what I talked about yesterday, what I'm going to be starting to share with you how to do is to use the spell of the 9 knots and the first 8 runes with the 8 directions of the medicine wheel, the thunder wheel, the direction wheel, whichever word you want to use. And so the second world is Asgard there, and you can see URUZ, the rune URUZ. It looks like a U, but it's actually that's the viewpoint from somebody who's about to get gored by the oryx. The oryx was what cows became later. Our ancestors captured the oryx, the wild oryx, and started breeding them to be more tame, and so cows are the result of that. But before they were tamed, they were these giant bison that had huge horns and were extremely aggressive and dangerous. And so that you see that the URUZ there looks like a strange looking U, is actually the horns of the bull coming right at you. So that's what they had to deal with. And when you saw that coming at you, you know it was pure power. So they admired the power of that animal and the bravery of that animal and the strength of that animal. And so URUZ is strength, but it's also descending power. It's power that is descending directly from Asgard. So Asgard means the celestial fortress of the gods, specifically the celestial gods, the fortress of the celestial gods. And in the northeast there, that is the highest energy there is. So it's interesting, we come from the north, which is the second lowest energy. The lowest energy is actually in the southwest, but when energy is created, it comes from the north. That is where we get all of the potential energy that has not manifested. As soon as it comes into manifestation, it goes to the highest level of vibration, which is what Asgard is, the fort of the celestial gods. When that power that comes directly from the fort of the celestial gods comes to us, it is descended in this very pure, very potent, very powerful form, which is what URUZ. So there's a reason why URUZ is there in that world. Okay, so now let's take a look at the spell of the 9 knots, and then we'll put together why all that is there. So anyway, where's the 9 knots? Is that what I want? No, that's not what I want. I want this. All right. So the spell of the 9 knots, as I said yesterday, is not a recently made up spell. Now, the language here is in modern English, but I'm sure when it was used with Anglo-Saxon or Old English or whatever it was. So I don't have that. I don't know exactly what that is, but it works just as well in modern English. And so each one of these, you see there's 1 through 9. Each one of these has to do with each one of the directions. So what I do when I practice this spell, I have a very clear intent, and I practice this spell when I want to create massive change in my life. And so what I do is I will face each one of the directions as I chant what this is, and I also touch different parts of my body to stimulate the 9 meridian centers. Now these aren't the same as the chakras, although some of them are superimposed on where the 7 chakras are, but these are different. And I do it in a sine wave pattern, so I don't go straight up or straight down. I go from up, down, and back, and I bounce back and forth until you get to the heart center. And as I'm doing it, I'm facing each one of the directions. Okay? So in case anybody is interested in that, you can go to courses.thunderwizard.com and you can look for the spell of the 9 knots. I currently have it in DVD form, and unfortunately I've got a lot of DVDs that I'm going to have to change over and do over again because I don't have the original footage. I'm going to have to do it over again and turn them, create them again and make them streaming so that everybody can, because not everybody has a DVD player anymore. But if you want, you can go to courses.thunderwizard.com and get that. Keep your eyes out for the next Manifestation Mastery course, because in that I am going to go over once again what the spell is, how it's worked, and I'm going to bring in the runes to it as well. All right, so we'll talk about that when I do that. Now, the 9 knots, this is what I want. All right, so yesterday we talked about 1, it has begun. And this is the root chakra, the root meridian point. It's at the perineum. And this has to do with the beginning. So the beginning is when things are just coming into manifestation. That is the north. The element of the north is water. Water represents the nourishment to provide resources. It also represents the love and the nourishment of the mother. So now we're going directly from that to a very masculine energy, which is in Asgard. So for that, we are talking about 2, it shall come true. So let's talk about each one of the directions. Again, very quickly, I'll go about each one of the directions and what the energetic properties of each one of those directions are. And we'll see that this, bear in mind, I didn't make this up. This isn't a spell that I created. This is actually a spell that has existed in history. You would think in the beginning, I looked at it and I thought, oh, this is some cute Wicca spell that modern pagans have created. Because let's face it, most of the modern Western pagan stuff is stuff that's been invented and created in the last 40, 50, 100, couple hundred years. That's not to say that it isn't effective. It's just my thing is I want to work with traditions that have an unbroken connection into prehistory. My research into this tells me that this spell was done, and it was done in ancient times, at the very least in Anglo-Saxon England. So I forgot what I was saying, but all right, so let's go through each one of the 8 directions. So in the north we have 1, it has begun. And that has to, as I said, that has to do with the water, that has to do with energy that has not manifested into physical form yet. It says it's not completely in the void. It's just beginning to come into manifestation, but it hasn't been differentiated yet. So it's as close to pure potential as we can get in this physical reality, and the element for that is water. And then 2, it shall come true. This has to do with the highest ether, which is the realm of the celestial gods. The celestial gods are all about the truth. The celestial gods see things in black and white. It's either true or it's false, it's good or it's bad, it's righteous or it's evil. And they live in timeless perfection. So they are only interested in what is absolutely 100% true. Now, in this world where we live in a gray area. Things are true and not true at the same time. The gods can't handle that. They don't like that. And so that's why if you were to go to Asgard, the brightness and the purity of it would destroy you, would explode you. So this is where they come from. So they say 2, it shall come true. And then we get to number 3, which is the east. The east is the realm of your identity, is the realm of the giants, which represent the expansion of ego. And it is the realm of the sun. The sun is the soul. The soul is the individuated infinity within you. So east is your identity. So it says 3, it comes to me. Now you've created a self. 4, in the southeast, I opened the door. So the 4th realm is the realm of the humans. The human door. This is not human, physically human. It means the mind, how the human mind works. Because you're made up of multiple things. We just talked about the east, which is the soul. You have an infinite divine soul that is in your body. But when you're a human, you now have this human mind, which has with it human psychological traits. And there's a way that the mind works. And this is where magic comes in. So 4 is about magic, and so what you're opening the door to is the door to magic, to create out of nothing. And this is something that humans do. Humans are meant to be magicians, because we manifest. We are the only beings that can manifest our reality to the extent that we do. The rest of the animals have to just deal with it. So this is, again, why I go so hard against anybody who has any kind of victim mentality. You don't know who you are. It's like It's like, Michael Jordan, if he thought he, couldn't dunk a basketball because he thought he was too short. That's what it's like for human beings who are victims. They don't realize that they're these infinite magician wizards walking around, allowing themselves to be thrown around by the universe. They've completely misunderstood who they are. So you're opening the door, which is the third eye. You're opening the door to your ability to manifest and create. And then 5 in the south, it comes alive. South is the realm of fire. It is the direction of Mars. It represents action. It represents the soul expressing itself, completely expressing its individuality. And this is when everything comes alive. This is the south. 6, my words are fixed. Now we're facing the southwest, which is the realm of the underworld. The only place that's beneath the north. So the north isn't the lowest place in the world. Even the north, which is pure potential, there is a place beneath that. That is the underworld, and that is in the southwest, and that represents the place where the soul goes after it has fully expressed itself. It then goes to the southwest, which is the underworld, to look at its false attachments. And then it gets ready for reincarnation. So your words create. We create limitations through our words. And that's why you will be held accountable for everything you say and you do. That's why it's really important, especially promises. Never make promises you cannot fulfill. I have to tell you, I just got through a situation with a couple months back with somebody who made a lot of promises to me and fulfilled none of them, broke every single one of those promises. That person is going to be karmically responsible for that. Now, I'm not going to hold that person responsible for that. I'm moving on with my life. But when you make a vow, when you make a promise with your mouth, with your breath, that becomes lodged into the fabric of the universe. This is why it's really important, if you've ever caused damage with your actions or with your words, that you go make amends. Make amends doesn't mean I'm sorry. It means you go and fix the problem. You go do something to balance that. So in 6 in the southwest, my words are fixed. You fix your reality with what you say. So you got to be careful with what you say. That's why when you do this spell, you are putting into existence what you are intending. That's why spells are so powerful. So 7, by the stars of heaven, you're facing west. After you come out of the underworld and you face west, you're in the land of the Vanir, who are the gods of space-time, the gods of magic, the gods of fertility. And these are the gods who are called the elder gods, not because they're older than the gods in Asgard, but because they live in space-time. They experience life. They have experience. They have wisdom. The gods in Asgard don't. They're like children. They only live in the ever-present now. They don't understand time. They don't like time. They think time is has to do with death and decay. So that's why there's a war between the Aesir and the Vanir, because the Aesir live in perfection, pure perfection of the now, and the Vanir live in space-time. And so these forces fight with each other. Space-time says, or wisdom says, no, man, you have to be able to experience something. You have to be able to understand things. Magic is a good thing. Fertility is a good thing. The Aesir, who live in the timeless perfection, say, no, you must be righteous and pure, and you must be celibate, and you can't do this, and you can't do that, and blah, blah, blah. So 7 is by the stars of heaven. And I talked yesterday that there is 7 stars in the Big Dipper. And so the Big Dipper is used in magic and Taoist rites to become immortal and do all kinds of things. So there's no coincidence there that the realm of the West, which is number 7, which is lucky number 7, has to do with the stars of heaven. All right? And then we get to the Northwest, which is 8. And 8 is release my fate. And we talked about this yesterday. Your fate is to become one of the elves, one of the ascended masters. It's not a question of if, but when. You will become one. Who knows in how many millions of years it'll take, but you will become one. And that is your fate. So when you face the Northwest, you're asking the elves to release my fate, to get to the next level of your evolution, to get closer to them. which is what they will help you to do. And then 9, you've come all the way back around to the north again, and you are now bringing all of the worlds together. You're back in Midgard, sitting in the center, and now all of the other 8 dimensions are coming in upon you, and you are saying, it shall be mine. You are telling all of the other 8 dimensions and all the beings of the 8 dimensions to bring to your manifestation in Midgard what you have proposed, whatever your intention is. So those are the 9 realms. And so as I said, we're talking about the northeast, which is the realm of Asgard, and the rune URUZ. So we're asking for divine power to come in. We first said Fehu. We said 1. It has begun. Fehu. And every time I do that, I can feel it in my body. It's just this, it's an amazing power. So try it. 1. It has begun. Fehu. I don't know if you can feel it, but I feel it. So we're facing the unmanifested potential in the waters of the north, and we are saying, get ready. It has begun. I have told you what my intent is, and now it has begun, and those waters start to boil, getting ready to manifest. And then you chant the magic rune Fehu, which means resources. It technically means cows, but we talked about that. In ancient times, cows were money. So money is just energy to get what you want. That's all it is. It's not dollar bills. It's not those ones and zeros in your bank account. It's the potential. You know, nowadays we use money to buy things, but a couple thousand years ago, our ancestors used cows. Cow is fehu. That's why when you charge money, you charge a fee. You charge a cow. Fee is short for fehu. So when you say, what is the fee for that service? You're saying, what is the cow for that service? I charge a fee for my services. That's because way back before there was money, the cow had everything. The cow was the Walmart of Paleolithic times. You had milk, you had cheese, you had meat, you had bone, you had skin, you had sinew. You had horns. You could turn those into drinking horns. You could make weapons out of it. You had sinew to sew things up. It was like whatever you need, a cow would walk, and if you were moving from one place to another, you could just take Walmart with you. Just put something in its nose and pull it along. When you were ready, you took the cheese or the milk or the whatever it was, and then when you needed everything else, you slaughtered it and you took all those parts and used them. So fehu is just energy. It's energy resources. And then we get to 2. It shall come true, which is number 2. The number, and we face the northeast, and we say 2. It shall come true. URUZ. And I say that, and I can feel power descending into me as I say that, because the northeast is about truth and the power to defend and promote and create the truth. 2. It shall come true. URUZ. And again, each one of these directions and each one of these things is corresponding to different meridian points on the body, which I won't spend the time to talk about here. I've talked about it in the DVD, Spell of the 9 Knots. I'll talk about it again in the, maybe I'll get around to it today to do the next Manifestation Mastery course video. And in the B section of that video, I will go through all the points and all that kind of stuff. So keep your eyes out for that. All right, so there's the introduction to that. I'll open it up to see if there are any questions. Do I need to make a, no, I don't need to do that. There's 20 people online. Okay, so let's see here. Jeannie Griffin, question, is that the north in the universe, or can it be from the north as in Newfoundland? I don't know what you mean. The universe doesn't have a north or a south. The universe doesn't have a central point. The universe is wherever you are, you know, from your perspective. So the north is, we're talking about the north, the direction north. It's got, there's no up or down or north in anything like that in the universe. So I don't know what you're asking me. You know, and I'm in Australia now, so I'm closer to the South Pole. The further north I go, the warmer it gets. So you're in the northern hemisphere, you're looking towards the North Pole. If I go north, I'm going to hit the equator. before I start heading back down towards the North Pole. So the North is the North. I don't understand your question. Question continued, what would be the heavens versus the earth? Why are you asking that question? What does that have to do with what we're talking about? I don't know, you might be asking the question that I think you're asking. There are people, and I don't know if this is true for you, but there are people when they look at a map and they see like the arrow and they see north, they think north is up. No, this is up and down. North is not up. North is north of you. If you live in California, what's north of California is Oregon. What's north of Oregon is Washington. What's north of Washington is Canada. What's north of Canada is the North Pole. That's north. So again, I don't understand your question. What would be the heavens versus the earth? In what context? Why are you asking that? It tells me that you don't understand what we're talking about today. Okay? That's okay, but it tells me that you're seeing things differently or you're trying to bring something else into it that doesn't apply. All right? Jeannie Griffin question, would it be considered a betrayal then by someone not following through a vow? But in that event, we just keep putting one foot in front of the other, just water under the bridge? No, you got to pay for that. This is why when I give people mantras and I teach them how to do a 40-day vow, which is you take a vow that you're going to do your mantra and your ritual and your offering every day for 40 days. If you miss a day, you have to go back and start all over again. And I tell people, do not make a vow you can't follow through with. So if people can't do a 40-day vow, how many days? Can you do 10 days? Then do a 10-day vow. Do what you know you can do. If you like having a child, this is why sex is considered to be a promise, because if you end up having a child with somebody, you've made an energetic vow to raise a child with somebody. You've made an energetic vow to get married. Now, nowadays we have things like birth control, so we can sort of sidestep that. But, when you make a vow, you are beholden to that. So if you're talking about promises that you've made, that you verbally say that you have broken or not followed through, then yes, you have, in essence, betrayed the universe. The gods are holding you to that. The universe holds you to that vow. And if you do not rectify that in some way, then there's no going back from that. I'll give you an example. When clients, I'm getting the feeling not to talk about it, so I won't. Anyways, there are just some things that you can't just say sorry for. You make a vow, the universe holds you to that. So you can't just, okay, I made a vow, I screwed up, I didn't do it. Well, I'll just put one foot in front of the other. No, you got to figure out a way to balance that. You may have to actually go and fix that problem. You may have to go and pay that bill. But if not, then this is one of the things that rituals are for. You do a ritual to make a payment. You do something. For instance, let's say you stole money from somebody, and that person, as a result of you stealing that money, that person didn't have the money to buy their medication and they died of some disease. Now, you can't go back and bring them back to life, but you are still responsible for that action. You stole money from somebody, they died from a disease. So one way to rectify that would be to spend the rest of your life dedicated to a charity that is seeking to heal that particular disease. That would be one way to rectify that betrayal, that vow that you broke, that action. In this case, we're talking about an action, but it's the same thing. Anyway, so Jeannie Griffin, you're obviously talking, because now you say, even though the bridge may have been burnt down, you're obviously talking about something in your life, and you're not being honest with me about that. So, I can tell when people aren't being clear. You'd be better served by asking me directly what the situation was, and here's what I did to somebody, and it's been, because you may not even know what the hell you're talking about, or even if it's something you need to take care of. I can tell there's a lot of guilt. I can tell there's a lot of codependence in there. I can tell that you're confused, that you're conflicted, and that you're justifying and feeling, and you may be right, you may be completely wrong. These kinds of general questions don't help you. This is why people need to have a mentor. You need to have, if you're Jeannie Griffin, if you're somebody that's going through life and you're doing it all by yourself, as I've said in the past, brain surgeons can't do brain surgery on themselves. They need another brain surgeon to help them out, no matter how good they are. So there's obviously something going on in your life that you haven't dealt with, that to you is a burnt bridge that's causing you problems. You better find somebody and ask them. Okay, so that's all. All right, so I don't see any more questions. We only got 20 people on here. So when you don't ask me questions, I sell you stuff. So what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to talk about the links that we have up here. So we're talking about runes. And if you go to runecertification.thunderwizard.com, I believe I have in that video teaching, I have every single video that I've ever made about runes, whether it's private, paid for, or whether it's on the free channel. I put it all into one thing, and then I've given more information about how to do a 9-world rune reading. If you get through that course, then you can take a very short test with me, and I will certify you, and you can go and be on that page, runecertification.thunderwizard.com, and you can be one of my certified rune readers. But if you're just wanting to learn the runes, everything there is to know about what I teach about the runes, you can go to runecertification.thunderwizard.com. runereadings.thunderwizard.com is where I give readings. And then again, you'll find my apprentices on there as well. And you can get a 9-world rune reading from me. And if you don't know what those are, go onto my channel or go to runereadings.thunderwizard.com. You'll see a video about what the 9-world rune reading is and how powerful it is. And then thunderwizard.com, if you really want to learn not only runes, but everything having to do with shamanism as I teach it, Master Shamanism course, go to thunderwizard.com. Even if you subscribe at the lowest level, you'll have access to hundreds and hundreds of hours of in-depth training that I don't give on this channel. And it is the best way to support this channel. Those people who subscribe, if you appreciate these videos and you appreciate what I've done, go subscribe to that. That helps, gives me the time. Like today, I had the time to come back on and make a video. If I don't have that money coming in, then I got to spend that time working like everybody else and working with clients and all that kind of stuff. So thunderwizard.com. You can also subscribe to the higher level, which is the Manifestation Mastery course, where you get all of the Master Shamanism teaching, and right now over 100 videos, A and B videos, of how to manifest. And we're coming close to the end of that course, and we'll move on to another one. But you'll have access to all of that and the shamanism if you sign up as a Manifestation Mastery course student. And then if you want to see everything I have, we've got courses.thunderwizard.com. That has all my books, all my videos, all my services, everything in one link. So don't ask me, where do I go to get this, and where do I go, and how much is that? Courses.thunderwizard.com has everything. Use these links, they're there for a reason. All right, so now I'm going to share with you, because as I said, if you don't ask questions, I'm going to sell you stuff. I'm going to talk to you about the most powerful energy work there is. If you do this spell, by the way, if you do this spell of the 9 knots directly after having done the energy work, it will increase the power of the spell. I don't, by 100 times. I mean, I'm being conservative. This energy work will expand, and it will just take the power of that spell and just shoot it out into the universe. So that's what I'm going to show you here, the most powerful energy practice there is that can be taught on video. Anything more powerful, you'd have to teach them in person. Otherwise, you could hurt them. All right, see you in a couple minutes. Hi, I'm Michael Denny of SpiritTao.com, and this is Celestial Negung Part 1. Celestial Negung means that this is power that is descending from heaven, And the idea is that we are all microcosms of the entire universe. You are the entire universe, and everything around you is simply the projection. You are looking within yourself. So when you look up into the stars at night, you're actually looking deep within your own body. When you look at the sun, the moon, the trees, the flowers, you're looking within yourself. This is Neko. And so what we're doing is we're simply releasing that infinity from within us. You are tapping into and releasing the power that is within our own body, our own cells, our own organs. So one of the reasons that I'm making this DVD is in the hope that the essence and the spirit of the teaching of the Shang Qing arts can be taught to the world at large, and it is my hope that the core essence of what the Shang Qing tradition is will continue to live and grow and evolve. As we move on into the Aquarian age, everything is changing. I don't need to tell you that. The entire world is changing, and what we are seeing now is that if people hold on to external things, they are very challenged in life. And those who are making the transition into the next phase that we are moving into in the world as we approach 2012, those who look within and find their source of strength from within, those are the people who are getting the most out of life and will make the transition into the next phase of evolution most comfortably. It is my belief that the Shang Qing tradition is one method whereby human beings can evolve into the next level of being in the most comfortable fashion and be able to take advantage of the rapid, energetic, mental, and spiritual changes that are going on in the world today. Yep, coming in 2009, so mark your calendars. All right, let me get my links up here again. There we go. All right, we'll check and see if there are any questions. Nope. Jeannie Greffin, the healing session is back on, so I don't know if you've been to the site, which is it energyhealing.thunderwizard.com? I'm back up. So the initial phase is over and the introductory phase is over, and now I am working with less people. You know, I gave it out as an introduction to see how it worked and to see how I felt about it, and I got a ton of people that signed up, and it took me a long time to get through everybody. So now, as you can see, the prices have gone up, and that reflects the amount of time and effort that I put into it, so that I don't have to be distracted with having to constantly do them. I can really focus on one person. So you can go back to energyhealing.thunderwizard.com. Is that it? Yep, energyhealing.thunderwizard.com. You can go back there, and if you want, you can get one right now. I purchased the 2 introduction books. I guess I must have recommended those to you. All right, there you go. All right, I don't see any more questions. Now we're back down to 19, so started selling you stuff and people got bored. So keep your eyes open for the next Manifestation Mastery course video, because my plan is to go into more in depth in all of them. What I'm doing in these videos is I am wanting to talk about the specific power of each one of these directions, and specifically the power of URUZ. So before we go any further, again, let's look at the rune wheel. Let's look at the rune wheel, and you can see where URUZ is. URUZ is there in the northeast, and the power of URUZ is the power of determination. It is the power of bravery. It's the power of, I'm going to do this no matter what. So the first thing that has to happen in manifestation is we have to have fehu. We have to have resources, the resources to create. The next thing is you have to have the clear intention and you have to have the determination to create it and see it through. So if you're having problems, if you're having problems manifesting things, it may be because you're not fully committed to the idea of that thing being manifest. You know, it's very hard for me to listen to people complain about what they don't have in their life. Now, some people have serious unconscious blocks, which is one of the things that I work with. So if you ever become one of my students, or if you ever want to I have career.thunderwizard.com, which is if you want to go and find out what your highest career is, your true purpose in this life, all that kind of stuff. That's what I help people with. But once we've revealed what it is that your soul wants to do, you're the one that has to commit to putting it into action. And for some people, that's very challenging. And that's challenging because they have been programmed by their parents and society and life and whatever else to not believe and not to trust in themselves. And there's nothing I can do about that except help walk through your unconscious minefield about why you have difficulty. And listen, it takes one to know one. I struggled and tripped for the first 48, 49 years of my life. So I'm not judging anybody for that. But URUZ is the power of pure determination. The determination, again, that I'm going to do this or I'm going to die trying. You have to have that in life. If you don't have the commitment and the ability for what you want in life to say, I'm going to do this or I'm going to die trying, there's a good chance you'll quit. Because you'll run into your own karmic issues surrounding that. I'm looking for URUZ. That's what I'm looking for right now. And if you don't make that kind of commitment, it's very easy to walk away and not pull anything off. URUZ. It's the power of the oryx staring down at you. When you're staring on the other side of an oryx, of a bison that has lowered his horns to destroy you, you know what true determination is. And so this is the kind of determination that comes when you chant this. So when we say, "Tu, it shall come true," URUZ. In fact, I just felt when I said that. What you're saying is, you say, "Here's my intention. 1, it has begun, Fehu. 2, it shall come true, URUZ." You are saying that you are vowing all of your life and all of your energy behind that. If you're not ready to do that, don't do the spell of the 9 knots. I mean, you can do it if you want, but this spell works when you are completely devoted. That's why people give, there are rites of blood, and in times you would do a spell like this and you would prick your blood, or you would sacrifice an animal. Bear in mind, back in the day, sacrificing a sheep or a goat or a cow wasn't a small thing. Nowadays, you can walk into a grocery store and for a few bucks you can get a big side of beef. But it doesn't really cost us anything. So we don't understand the value of sacrifice. When you had a small farm and on your farm you've got 5 chickens and 3 goats and 2 cows, if you sacrifice a cow, which then you have to feed the whole village with your sacrifice, the whole village would come together and support your sacrifice, and then you would feed everybody from the meat of that animal you just sacrificed. You're giving up what would be the equivalent of, for the average person, would be like if you were to give up $50,000. So imagine you're going to do a ritual and a vow, and in order to get it done, you're going to give away $50,000 in order to have that vow come true. It's a big deal. So URUZ, that power of complete determination, commitment. Say, 1, it has begun. 2, it shall come true. URUZ. Meaning, I will die before this doesn't come true. I'm completely committing myself to this. We've lost that understanding these days. Okay, do I see any more questions? Nope, no more questions. All right, that's it. So I'll just leave you guys there with that. Keep your eyes open for the next Manifestation Mastery course. And there you go. That's all. All right. Tomorrow or whenever next, maybe tomorrow, I'll come back with the third installment of this and we'll talk about the eastern direction. All right. I'll see you then.